Every streamer that's played Ultron so far has said that he's terrible, but they might just be a little bit wrong. Now, I'm not saying that Ultron is S tier by any stretch of the word, but people are definitely overlooking parts of his kit. The best way to really break it down is to go through all of the criticisms that Ultron has received and compare it to other characters in the game that are currently meta. Let's start with the ultimate. I think that's one of the biggest complaints that we're hearing online about Ultron. Now, despite Ultron literally saying during his ultimate, it's a little bit misleading because, yeah, it does do very little damage. That was one of the complaints online. It can't even kill a tank. This is what a lot of people are complaining about. You put his ult on Groot, and you can't even kill him, right? That seems like a pretty bad ult, but it's a support ult. It's not designed to do much damage. And when you compare its healing potential to other healing ults, you realize it's actually pretty decent. I've done the testing. It does 500 healing per second for 8 seconds. In comparison, Cloak and Daggers does 250 healing for 13 seconds. Invisible Woman only does 165 healing for 8 seconds. Lunar Snow, 250 healing for 12 seconds. So you can see that some other ults do last longer, and they're definitely going to be the better choice because of their length, but the overall healing provided is far better in Ultron's ult. It's more powerful than any other healing ult in the game in terms of pure healing output. Now, when you have a bunch of Invisible Woman players running around all the time using their ultimate, why wouldn't people consider Ultron's ult good for healing? It's literally the same length, but provides almost triple the amount of heals. And not only that, it also provides a bit of damage. Yes, it's only 85 damage per second, but this ultimate would still be pretty decent without any damage at all. Now, once again, I'm not saying it's an S tier ability. I think it could still be tuned up a little bit for sure. But when you realize it's mainly there to heal your team, you can see the benefits of it. And let me just give an example. When you're playing Invisible Woman, you might put your ultimate down and someone might get caught out of it, right? They might not be able to get into the ult quick enough and they'll get shot down. If you're playing Lunar Snow, you have to run back and forth to your teammates sometimes because your team's a little bit disorganized. With Ultron, if you need to heal your team, well, you don't need to move, you just move your aim. And then suddenly you're healing anyone that needs healing at 500 healing per second. And even if your team is a little bit split up, everyone's healed up and ready to go. Now, I do have one concern with the ult that I can't really test on my own. It seems like it could be just shot out of the sky. He does have reduced damage. I don't know how the stats are going to work there, but I'm a little bit concerned that that could be a weakness. However, though, when we look at the stats and compare it to other healing-based ultimates, I don't see why people are complaining. It's actually pretty good. I mean, we can't really expect an ultimate for a strategist to go around killing entire squads. That just doesn't seem to make sense. Now, what about the main healing output of Ultron? I also see a lot of complaints there, and I've got a lot to say about this as well. So, firstly, we got this little drone thing. People are complaining the healing isn't very much. So let's break it down into the stats and then talk about a couple other things that I like about this ability. So once it's on a target, it does 50 healing a second, and anyone in this AoE area will take 35 healing a second. Now let's consider Ultron a off healer. He's not a main healer, so you're probably going to want to play him in a triple healer setup, just like you would Adam and Mantis. So there's no point like comparing his healing output to Luna or Invisible Woman or any of those characters because he's not that kind of character. He doesn't fit into that role. Yes, he's a strategist, but just like Adam and Mantis, he's more of a DPS strategist combo as opposed to just a pure main healer, right? You only really going to want to run him when you have triple strategists. That's just the unfortunate truth of this character. So I do think that his healing output could definitely be tweaked up a little bit, but when you really look at the stats, there isn't much of a difference. For example, Mantis' healing flower only provides 20 healing a second, whereas this drone does 50 on target and 35 to anyone in the radius. Soulbond is only 15 healing per second for Adam Warlock. I know that it can reduce damage taken as well. It's a better ability, because it reduces damage by spreading it across different targets. But the actual pure healing is pretty bad. And another really interesting thing about this drone that I also see a lot of complaints about. People say, oh, when you break line of sight, it disappears. And I do think that is a bit of a shame. But by doing this, we highlight one of the really beneficial features of this ability. Let's just wait for it to disappear. It has an infinite, like, use. No cooldown whatsoever. Not only that, you cannot destroy the drone. It's invincible. The enemies cannot destroy it. As you can see in this footage, I tried. It's invincible. It is a constant use ability that can never go off cooldown. It's always available, right? Yes, it's only 50 healing per second and 35 for those that are in the radius. But do you remember when Rocket was kind of just like a heal bot and he would just stand there and just pump his healing orbs into the sky, and he had a really high win rate, and everyone was really just sick and tired of Rocket players just cruising their way up the ranks? The truth is, that playstyle was still providing enough heals for the team to get on with it, right? At that time, I think he was providing 70 healing per second. This is a heal bot. This is literally a slightly weaker version of the old Rocket. It is literally a heal bot that does the heal bot for you. So if you have a couple healers on your team that just aren't quite up to standards, they're not quite giving enough healing for your tanks and your front line, you just put this drone down and that does it. When you've got a triple support setup, they can worry about giving the burst heals where they're needed, and this drone will just constantly give good heals to the front line, and you don't even need to look at them. You don't need to look at them. You just put it down and you're good. And occasionally you might want to switch target. Like, the healing isn't great, I get that, but it adds enough to make a slight impact on the fight. Once again, I'm not saying it's amazing, but I'm just arguing for the sake of its viability. Like, it's not bad, especially when you consider, once again, you can't even kill it. It's just there for the entirety of the game. Which brings me into my other point. Obviously, that's going to help your ultimate be available quicker. I did a test. It seems like Ultron's ultimate is about 3,400 energy cost. In comparison, Lunasto's is 5,000. Most of the healer ults right now are very high in energy cost. Ultron's is a lot lower. He's going to have it fairly often, and it's pretty good. Now I want to talk about the primary attack, and it's funny because that's the one ability that's getting a bit of praise online. And one of the reasons why is because people believe it has no damage fall off, and I mean, we can easily confirm that's not true. Look at this, right? Look at how many times it takes to kill this Galactabot here. 1, 2 shots. We go up here, and then we fire. It's doing less damage. There is damage fall off on this ability. People are just getting a bit excited online because it's the first laser beam ability that doesn't have a max distance. But reality is, it's basically like a Punisher. Like, in terms of, like, its mechanics, it's a hit scan, right? But longer distance, you will do less damage, okay? It's no different than sitting up here with a Punisher. Like, it really isn't. So, you know, that's something to consider. I think a lot of people thought that was a really cool feature, but it just goes to show how easy it is for people to make a first impressions online about a character from just a couple minutes in the practice range and base their entire perception on that tiny bit of engagement. They're just like, oh, look, it's got infinite range. Wow, that's crazy. But no, it doesn't even have infinite range, first and foremost. And then, oh, it hardly does any damage with the ult. The ultimate's terrible without considering how much healing it's doing, right? So it's important to think that every character has a lot more depth than just first impressions. So is he going to be the best character in the game? No. But is he going to be less than terrible, at least, you know, a little bit higher than F tier? Absolutely. There's no doubt. There's no way this character's F tier once you understand it, right? Now, let's talk about the primary attack then. I think because he's an off healer, we really have to compare him to Adam and Mantis. And I do have to say, when it compares to these two characters, his damage is a little lacking. Both Mantis and Adam actually have some pretty strong attacks. Adam's really strong, hit scan, a lot of ammo. Now, interestingly enough, you do a lot of damage per shot. It's a 75 charge up and then a 75 burst per shot. So you're doing 150 per ammo. Only trouble is it's a little bit of a slow fire. So if we can compare both Ultron and Adam at the same time, you can see that Adam has more DPS and just puts out more damage consistently. Now, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think when you have higher damage per shot weapons in games, they usually tend to have lower DPS because you're not going to be putting as much sustained damage out, but you've got more bursty damage that can help you to secure kills. And in the case of Ultron, that is certainly possible. I think one playstyle that could be good is you do this thing that you do with Iron Man, and you see a player that's low. You could even charge it up before you peek out and then just go out to do that burst of damage if you see a player's low. Right? Just make sure that you're always behind cover just after that burst so that the sort of downtime between shots, as you can see, there's sort of like a reload mechanic. You're behind cover during that time, right? So you're just basically ensuring that any downtime, you're not taking damage during that time. And you can afford to do this because your heal bot is basically doing the healing for you, right? But still, the damage feels a little bit low. Another thing that's quite interesting that I have found out that you can do, and this could be a potential playstyle opportunity for him, you just sit with the front line and your tank, because despite it not dealing damage through opponents, it does do damage through allies. So you could sit behind your Groot or your Strange or whoever it may be, right? I can just do this. I'm fine here, just using my boy as a shield. Gonna shoot through it. Pretty decent. So that's something to consider. Overall, though, I do think that his actual damage output could be tweaked up a little bit. If he's going to compete with Adam and Mantis, he needs a bit more damage. I think his ult is better than Adam's and Mantis's ults in a massive way. It's more along the lines of a traditional healing ult in terms of what it provides for the team. So that's pretty good, right? He actually has more support power than both Adam and Mantis in a lot of ways. His healing bot is, I mean, when you play Adam and Mantis actively, you're going to get more benefit out of their healing. There's no doubt about it. You will. But if you have an Adam that's not really paying too much attention to healing and they're not doing their job as effectively, I would argue that an Ultron would do better. Like a low tier lobby, like gold, plat or something, Ultron, just in terms of their skill rating, is going to be easier to provide more healing than an Adam or a Mantis. So if you're a player that likes off healing, you want to be a third strategist on your team, then Ultron could be a good pick because his healing is so easy, whereas Mantis and Adam provide a bit more skill, patience, and you have to be actively working on healing your team, whereas Ultron, you don't need to worry about it, right? So that's pretty good. I think, you know, a lot of people are complaining that Ultron is weak, and he is going to get buffs because everyone's complaining. Everyone's going to say, oh, he's terrible, I'm not playing him. That is going to make the devs buff him, and when he gets buffed, he's going to immediately become S tier. I'm calling it now. It's going to happen. I'm saying it. I've seen it so many times before. I don't see how it couldn't happen. If his healing bot is tuned up anymore, it's just going to be literally having like a rocket on your team. It's going to be like having a free rocket on your team, right? Without the respawns, of course. Just the heal bot potential of it is ridiculous. If the damage is boosted anymore, then I think that it's quite crazy. I mean, it's already two-shotting supports. It two-shots most squishies. I mean, that's not bad. Yes, there's a downtime between shots where people are probably going to get healed up. But if you see a half-health squishy, bam, they're dead. Like, it has some viability without a doubt. No, he's not S tier, but there's viability there. He's got 250 health. I think that as a flyer, you're a bit limited. You can't fly in the sky like this. I mean, you know, the game has been old enough at this point to know that if you're a flyer, you don't play like that. You play in and out of cover. You play behind your tanks. You don't just go flying in the air, right? Which does make me a little bit concerned about this ultimate. Like, I don't know how much health you have, because this is when you really do need to fly in the air. And if you just, maybe you can just be shot out of the sky, then that's kind of terrible. Now we got the team up, all right? Iron Man's abilities are always really cool because they just pierce through everything. So when you're in a bottleneck and you activate this, you're just going to get some decent healing and some okay damage. The damage is actually pretty bad. I mean, as you can see, it's not as much damage as an Iron Man Unibeam, but the healing is pretty significant. But it's on a massive 30-second cooldown. I don't know if it's actually going to be that good because of that long cooldown. But yeah, if you have bottlenecks where there's a bunch of people stacked up, it's going to be wonderful. But yeah, that's a look at Ultron. I think he's a lot better than all of the streamers are making it out to be, because a lot of the streamers gave him 2 minutes in the firing range and didn't really take it any further. And I think that's, you know, you should go and play him yourself and make your own informed decisions based on the information that you've seen online. Don't take my word for it either. Go and try him out. You might find that not only is he good for you, he's fun. I think that's one of the underrated things about him. He is a really fun character. As an Iron Man player, I do enjoy playing him. There are definitely weaknesses in his kit that definitely need to be worked on, but he is definitely not terrible. There's no way in any world that this character is not going to provide benefit to the team if you're running triple set strategist. Absolutely, he will provide value. There's no doubt his ultimate alone is going to keep your team alive in some very clutch situations, even if you don't do anything else with him. Like, you know, I don't know what else to say. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio.